So welcome everyone. Today I'm joined with Darren Fenter, new member of the Trifactri Club, but who has a lot of sporting background from his school days through hockey, rowing, and then into triathlon. I met Darren through an invitation I put on the Trifactri WhatsApp group advertising that I was doing a 4x4 by 48 challenge. And once I'd asked Lucy or been given permission from Lucy to put it on the WhatsApp group, she said probably the only person that would do it with me is Darren Fenter. And it was about 2 minutes after I posted it that Darren said, "Yeah, that sounds good. We'll be in for that." So welcome, Darren.
Oh, thanks.
Let's get going. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually start with the most recent and then go backwards. So You mentioned in the chat before you got up this morning at 3:00.
That's correct. That's correct.
What was your session?
It was an easy 2-hour run before work. So obviously working towards running my first 100-miler in July. I think Lucy's decided to give me quite a lot of running every morning. Now I think I'm pretty much running every morning for the foreseeable future, because I'm by far one of the worst runners in the club. So I would assume that I would need to be doing more running. So I had to get up nice and early. Funny enough, I've got quite a decent training partner, Elisha. I'm sure a lot of people know Elisha. She's also Pretoria side, so she does a lot of the runs with me. Also just as crazy, getting up at 3 a.m, running at 4 a.m. So I think Lucy's keeping me in check with these early morning sessions.
That's awesome. So let's go back a few weeks when we decided that we'd start this 4x4 by 48 challenge. And just for anyone who doesn't know, it was 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours. And one thing with South African lockdown is there was a curfew situation where Darren could go out on all the very late runs, but he decided to hop on a bicycle and Swift for 40 minutes. So, Darren, I suppose the initial response to the WhatsApp message was so quick. Your mind didn't actually let your body tell you that this could be a bad idea.
No.
I think a lot of this conversation is actually going to go around mindset and the actual power of the mind. And I think it's a good place to start a challenge like this. So how did you get on the challenge?
In terms of like during the challenge, how did I?
Yeah, so I suppose after you responded to me, you probably had a look at it and then started to break it down. But as I say, the idea or the response was quick enough to say you were in regardless of what it was. And then you looked at the physical effort that it was going to take around that. So just take us through those days leading up to, and then obviously a little bit of the actual event.
So I'd actually been following David Goggins, who actually initiated the challenge. And I'd known about it a good possibly 10 to 12 months before messaging you and having you interested in doing it. So Luce knew I had mentioned it to her before, but she obviously outright flat said, no, that's definitely not on the cards. I think because maybe I was the only one looking at doing something like that. So as soon as I saw that message that you put on, I knew I had to jump on that and say, yes, please, let me do this with you. I just think, I think a lot of people doing things like that or doing anything in triathlon or Ironman or hockey or rowing, I think sometimes they just think too much. They put too much effort into thinking, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Just got to get on and do it. I mean, it's a big challenge. I mean, 4 miles equates to 6.4 kilometers. So it's not a long distance, but over time it does, after the first night, going into the second night, it does take a toll on you. But man, you just got to jump, head first into it. Don't even think about what you're doing. If that's what you want to do, you just got to do it. I think a lot of people, especially moving, let's say, from the half Ironman to the full Ironman, think, but it's double the distance and the training and if that's what you want to do, sign up. Yes, please put your hand up and say, I'm coming. Doing the challenge, there are times where obviously you think to yourself, why are you doing it? There is no medal. You're not getting a trophy. No one actually cares really whether you finish this thing. So it's more for yourself. It's trying to be the best that you can be. Can you complete the challenge? And it almost becomes like a personal vendetta against this thing that you're doing. So I don't know, I'm sure you felt the same, where you get how many sessions, like 12 runs in total, 11 runs in total, and you get to like number 6 and you think to yourself, well, what have I got myself into? But then, you think, well, who else would be doing it? And no one else is doing it. So that's why I'm doing it.
I'm on board with pretty much all you said there, and I think it is. I think people way overthink a lot of their hobby. I spend 40 hours or 50 hours a week overthinking my job because I'm getting paid for it. But on a weekend, I really want to enjoy what I'm doing, and I think any type of challenge like that, I've always been game for it. Lucy has reined me back on an occasion for my own good. I certainly respect her for that, and she certainly saw a path for me when I joined her that wasn't really going to involve ultra distance running, although it's always been my love. And I'm sure once I'm done with triathlon, I'm not committing anything. I might end up doing 100-miler somewhere. You mentioned David Goggins and obviously his book, You Can't Hurt Me, which you ended up reading, I think, just after you'd broken your collarbone.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Last year, actually it was last year, 29th of Feb, on that special day that you get in the leap year.
An inspiring book, and if anyone wants to have a great read, I think Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. You mentioned that you enjoy that type of motivation, that mindset, those grueling Navy SEAL type competition, or not competitions, Buds Week, etc. Where does it all come from, Darren? Because there must be a fire inside you or something that switched that on. So
I find, with obviously just touching briefly on the hockey and the rowing, doing a lot of sports, through high school, you're searching for, and if I can really put it out there, you're searching for that purpose of your life, whether it's a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, it's a certain distance, it's a running event. You're searching for something that gives your life almost meaning, where you can get up in the morning, whether it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, you're running at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, midnight, makes no difference. It's something you want to do. And I started with hockey, and that was a big thing for me. And I progressed through hockey, and then I with rowing at school, and then rowing at Tux, and
like progressing to South African under 18 level hockey.
SA schools. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It is on another level than playing first team hockey, and it's certainly commendable. So yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So I was searching. Not that I knew it then. Looking back now, I know it. But you're searching for that. I've always been a sporty guy, but I've never really known what I want to do for the rest of my life, and in sport-wise now. And, when I found triathlon, I also had the Kona dream. I also wanted to chase flowers and go to the big island. And, like with that accident and breaking my collarbone, and now reading David Goggins' book and following him on Instagram, it's almost like an awakening, if I can use it like that, where I look at this and I think to myself, there is no gold medal. There is no world championship title. There is no Kona. It's you versus you. That is it. That is the ultimate prize. And I think when you eliminate judging yourself of other people or wanting to emulate other people, you kind of find your own inner happiness. I really don't care what people think of me. I really don't. All I want to do is run this 100 miles. I've wanted to do it now since I read this book, since I read when he spoke to Chris Costin about running Badwater. And he did, I'm sure you remember, he did that qualifying race, and he was in such bad way, broken bones in his feet and duct taping his ankles. And I think to myself, especially looking at the Navy SEALs and going through buds and all the different phases, what drives you to do that? How does a human being switch that mindset on where I'm not going to win this? I'm not going to win an Olympic championship or world title, but all I want to do is complete this thing. And I want to do this to the best of my ability. And for me, that kind of resonated a lot with me. And Lucy's going to shoot me for this, but it starts with 100 miles. That is, and we're going to progress to some other crazy things eventually. To see, I want to see. And doing the Nasna last year was a big thing for me. And I remember, I think it was around June, Lou said to me, listen, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You broke your collarbone, get over it, go into something. If it's the Nasna, do the Nasna full, go enjoy it. And that's what I did. And I've never looked back. Ironman was great. Nasna Extreme is a whole nother level. And I'm expecting, well, I'm hoping, I'm sure it will be, but I'm hoping the Washi is just a new level of discomfort and suffering for me that I'm just thoroughly looking forward to see if I can. And if I can't, that's fine. I'm going to come back the next year and I'm going to try again till I finish that distance.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're going to have a problem finishing it. Let's put it that.
Well, let's hope.
What interests me in this whole thing is that, you know, you've obviously hit pretty much the top of sport. To make a South African under 18 hockey team, yes, you could have gone further and all that sort of thing, but there's very few South Africans that can say they made that. And for you to now go back and say that it's not about the winning, it's more looking into yourself, that's going to make you a winner anyway. And I think one of the things that I came out of a bike accident in 2013, and effectively that changed my outlook on the whole thing. And my favorite running experience is chasing my shadow.
There you go.
I absolutely love when the sun is behind me and the shadow is on the road, and I can tell you just off my pace that I was chasing my shadow, because it is the only thing that I actually need to beat. There's nothing around me. There's nothing else that I need to compete around. I think a lot of people forget that you've just come off an injury, or you're at a different training spot in your training. Yes, the professionals have to be there at the right time, at the right race, because well, they're getting paid to do that, but we don't. We have we have other pressures around us and everything like that. So yeah, I certainly think the Washi it's not going to be easy, but you're definitely going to finish it. And yeah, it's great that Lucy sees that this is what you want to do, and is taking you through that. But to come back to more triathlon based, because obviously that's kind of what you gave up rowing for, where you'd spent 18 months trying to make a South African rowing team. Suddenly you found triathlon, and you thought that was going to be better, or you were going to enjoy that more. What was that mindset around?
So when I was still rowing for Tux and trying with the national squad, and you kind of get a sense that, okay, I'm here, but I just don't have that top end speed to crack a boat, a lightweight for anything like that. And funny enough, I remember, I think it was in February 2015, or was it 16? 2015, I think it was. I went to a friend of mine's house, and he, funny enough, showed me a video of Kona and full Ironman racing. And there was also a little bit of a light bulb moment going, I think you would be better if Darren suited at this kind of sport than the sport you're doing right now. It's not your short 2,000 meter, 5,000 meter race. It's now 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 bike, 42.2 run. So I think there I was kind of thought, okay, fine. I still actually remember the conversation with my dad. I said, Dad, listen, I'm done here. I want to sell my boat. I want to buy a wetsuit and a bike. He laughed. I laughed. The toaster laughed. And I think about 3 months later, I made the change. I just stepped down, and I was just rowing socially with the university. And my first triathlon I entered was 2016, the East London half Ironman. I knew nothing about Ironman, nothing about training. I had zero coach. My dad kind of helped me doing Leppen Ironmans back in the day when he was still doing his thing. And I think I completed that in about 6 hours and about 30 odd minutes. But through the most uncomfortableness I've ever had, chafing in places I shouldn't be chafing. And all my dad said to me was, that's fun, son. I said, Dad, it was very nice. I think I'll do another one. So he just laughed. Said, well, best you start running a bit more then, my boy. And then, the whole thing took off from there. I did a couple of halves again, and then eventually Ironman was the next goal. Yeah.
So Ironman South Africa twice.
Twice, yes. I did in 2018 and then again in 2019.
And I'm sure you were entered. You were entered last year.
Yes. I was entered last year. And then it's moved again, and I've moved it to next year again. Obviously, with Knysna in October, I just don't think I'm going to be racing full again in November. I'll do it 2022 again.
So Knysna last year, because that was one of the events that went through, and you've decided that it's going to happen again this year.
Definitely. I did have a little bit of reservation. Speaking to Luce, obviously with the Washi being in July and the Knysna being in October, I have no idea how my body's going to handle 100 miles. Not even close to can imagine what's going to be like running for 20 hours, 24 hours. But she thinks that 3 months is a good turnaround to do Knysna. And I mean, Knysna is not exactly the easiest race. I learned that the hard way last year. So I think definitely the easiest choice was to push Ironman back, because now that is just the last thing I want to do on my mind. I've done it twice. Let's get longer. Let's even get harder. Let's look for more pain, more suffering.
Are you following the Iron Cowboy?
I am, yes. With these 100 hundreds.
He doesn't take a day off. So
man.
Tell Lucy you're in the Cape. You may as well just cycle down to Knysna and start preparing from the Washi.
I think that's probably No, maybe I am being a bit of a bitch there. Maybe I should just do the Ironman then. Why not? I'm all for a challenge. I'm all for the challenge.
Yeah, look, I have a lot of respect for the Iron Cowboy, but I'm not too sure if I could push my body through something that he knows is physically going to hurt him. So you were with a couple of try groups, and you obviously met Lucy and decided to come to Trifactri. What was the decision around that?
So I started at Trivium in Pretoria under Martin Nieuwenhout. After there, moving on to my training day with a friend of mine, Clinton Gravett. He was at school with me, or just a couple of years older than me. I think at the time he was competing also as a professional athlete. So a lot of guys and friends that I had down in East London said to me, no, Clinton's the way to go. So I thought, okay, fine. So I signed up with him. And then after my Ironman in 2019, I just wasn't getting out of it what I wanted to. And I think he was moving over to Thailand to be a surfer or something along those lines. And he was pursuing other career options. So I had to obviously look elsewhere. And a housemate that I was staying with in Pretoria at the time, she recommended to me that I should give Lucy a call or email Lucy, because she had been with Lucy before, and Lucy's hardcore and she doesn't take no nonsense. So I sent her an email, and I don't think I've ever once questioned my decision on that one.
I can certainly say the same, and it's probably been about 8 years now.
Yeah.
Now I need to go back, and you kind of say you weren't getting what you wanted. For me, anyone looking to improve and all that sort of thing, and I'm just coming from my point of view. Like, I wanted to improve in order to win.
Yeah.
So when you kind of say you weren't getting what you wanted, what is it exactly? Like, I know you made the flippant remark that I joined Lucy and I told her all I want to do is bleed.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but like, there's easier ways to bleed. There must be something behind that comment that I wasn't getting enough out of. And if it is just finishing the Washi, that's fine. What is the enough?
So I find being with the other two clubs and coaches previously, I feel what I come to realize that Lucy has a very good understanding of who you are as an athlete that I wasn't getting at the other two coaches, where they would almost, and this is I'm not trying to talk ill of them at all, but it's almost, for lack of better term, a generic program. Where you're doing the same things over, nothing changes. It's, the usual. You've got a 2.5K swim here and a 1 hour run here, and it's a 3 hour bike. And in my brain, look, I'm not exactly the most experienced triathlete in the world, but if you're going to compete in an Ironman, you can't swim 2Ks at a time. You can't run an hour. That to me logically doesn't make sense. And with the comment that I said to Luce about I'm just here to bleed, I think when she first met me, she didn't quite grasp how crazy I actually want to become. And I think now she's kind of realizing, okay, he's not here to win anything. That's not his focus. He just wants to push and see how far he can take his body until it gives up. And I think that's where she's now really, I don't think I can put it into words exactly how good of a coach she is, whether it comes from her experience, her studies, her racing herself as a professional, but she has that ability to say, okay, fine. You want to suffer? You want to hurt? Great. Let's pick something that's going to make you hurt, and then let's systematically build week by week till we hit that target. Recap, what now? Because you've now done it. You've hurt yourself. You want to do it again? Yes, ma'am. Right, let's go to the next one. And like I said, from now on, the next thing up is Washi, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, and it just does get more and more extreme. Like I've certainly chatted to you on the WhatsApp thing about the Ultraman, and again, there are extreme events. There's the race across America, and I think with the base and with the understanding now that you have from Lucy, you can focus on all of that, which I think is great. I think we should just touch on the fact that you also have a really inspiring job. When I heard what you do, I've always known that talent comes from youth, and the fact that you're involved in the, what do you call it, the High Performance Academy School in Pretoria, with elite South Africans of a diverse group of people, that are coming together because of sport and the influence that sport has on everyone. I was very fortunate to be leaving school at the same time Nelson Mandela was, lift the World Cup rugby trophy. So I know all about sport and how it's built a nation. And obviously you're working with these young, talented individuals that are being obviously sponsored to be there, but being coached by professionals, having time to move around the world. So just a little bit on that.
So I've now, as I said before, when we were chatting earlier, I've been there now. This is my 4th year teaching. I feel extremely blessed to have a job at that school. So as a background, like you said, with the professional coaches, us as a staff, we are actually employed to teach. We are there to teach. We are not there to coach rugby, go on any tours, be involved with anything other than just teaching in the classroom and passing on and making sure that they can do grade 8 to 12 to the best of their ability, and being as flexible to move class and tests and things like that. And, working now, especially with COVID, it's tested us quite a lot. Working with Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and things like that to allow kids to do remote learning. And especially with them going overseas, not so much last year, but, in the years leading up to when this whole COVID pandemic came out, you had to juggle a lot of the academics to suit them. Kids were going away to France for 2 weeks, or they were in America, or they're swimming in the States. So it can be quite challenging at times. But it's, like I said, it's a blessing every day. I think, and I've said this to a lot of the staff sometimes, is that we forget when we walk into that school, we are almost walking into greatness. We are walking amongst kids who are going to be the next Olympic gold medalist. They are going to be the next world champ runner, the next South African record holder, the next soccer team, the next Amatak Spine, whatever club they're going to be signing for. We forget that as staff, that they're not ordinary kids. Yeah. And I find that a extremely motivating factor to be excited about my job. Look, teaching is not, unfortunately, all rainbows and sunshines. I think that's why they give us holidays. Well, that's why I like to think they give us holidays. But what I like about the school is that, especially for me being an athlete myself, there's that mutual respect between the learners and myself, that I take great pride in telling the kids, listen, there's no time to play. There's no time to sleep in class. We've got to learn now about the Cold War, dealing now with my grade 12s. I've run 20Ks this morning. What have you done? Sir. So there's that sort of, they understand me and I understand them. And I take great pleasure, just to give you an example, a month ago, I had one of these kids in my grade 11 class who came up to me and was so excited to show me his running splits on his running app that he did. And he ran it at 5 o'clock in the morning, sir. You see, sir, I can also wake up early. And I said, you know, my boy, that is absolutely fantastic. Did you enjoy it? So I'm a bit tired now. I said, that's okay. That's why you go run in the morning. So you're not going to be tired during the day. You're going to pump yourself up, fill yourself with endorphins. So it's that kind of interaction that you have with those kind of kids, where you're almost rubbing off them and they're rubbing off you.
I think that's exactly that. You have so much of a responsibility to ensure that those kids are going to remain humble, that they will be the future superstars, as you know it. And there's two paths that you can go down when you're a superstar. And yeah, the responsibility that, you know, the school has put on its teachers and that sort of thing. It's an amazing experience. I think it's almost a privilege to be working with. I hope that they see exactly the same thing, and the effort that the teachers are also putting in. And it does take effort to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, we love it, but there is something around that is special.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
So when is the Washi?
So the Washi is on the 23rd of July. It's on a Friday. And then I think, of those of you who don't know, you start at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the evening, late afternoon. Then you run through the night, Friday evening, and you've got, I think, 26 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 6, 7 o'clock on Saturday evening. You've got till you come in. There is no aid stations. As far as I'm aware, there's a halfway tent that they pitch, but it's all self-supporting. Somebody's got to drive behind you. Somebody's got to run with you. And one of the big appealing factors for me is that you start in a place called Cathcart and you run down into East London for the 100 miles. And July is smack dab in the middle of the winter. So running through the night is going to be just the utmost joy. It's going to be so nice in that cold environment. That I look forward to.
Well, I had David Goggins' challenge at -1
there
in the morning one. So
there we go. Love it.
I'm not actually going to feel sad for you.
Get it.
Do you have a decent support crew going down with you?
I have nobody at this point in time. So we'll see what happens. If I have to run it alone, I have to run it alone. But either way, I'm doing it.
So if anyone's interested, Darren's looking.
Please, guys, help me out here. Help me out.
Yeah. Looking for a support crew. I'd just like to say good luck with that. Good luck with the training. Injury-free training up to the event. Try and stay off the bike, maybe.
Yeah. Keep the rubber down. Rubber side down.
Or maybe a few Zwift sessions where you can't end up having an issue. But it's been really good having a chat.
Thank you.
I hope everyone's gotten to know you a little bit better. And I'm sure we'll be hearing about your feats along the way.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.